In this episode of Going For It with Becker, I sit down with Chris Tacia out of Sanford, North Carolina. Chris started real estate in 2024, and more recently, in one of the worst markets in 40 years, his business is not shrinking, but it's growing by leaps and bounds in a market that most agents are struggling just to survive in. The secret? Consistency, integrity, and a background shaped by a father who served in the special forces and taught him early that if you say you're going to do something, you do it. Chris is one of those people who is deeply rooted in his community, coaching younger agents, deeply involved in his church, and running one of the most meaningful charitable programs you'll hear about on this show. He does it all without fanfare and without keeping score. We talk about what it really takes to build the business that lasts and why most agents are doing it only in their mind, and what he wishes he would have known when he started 20 years ago. This one is genuine, grounded, and full of wisdom. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of Going For It with Becker. I'm James Becker, your host. And Chris, thank you so much for being here to have a conversation with me today. And welcome to the podcast.
Appreciate the opportunity. Glad to be here.
So let's just start out a little bit with your business. When you first came to us, you were doing just a little less than 12 million. And about 3 years later, with the market absolutely falling off a cliff, we're actually experiencing one of the worst markets in 40 years on a national level. In the last 12 months, you've done almost 17 million, 51 transactions in a location that's got about 50,000 people in population. That's an amazing upswing and an amazing amount of business, period, in a small area. It's very impressive. What is the secret to your success, Chris? What is it? What are the things? I can't imagine it's one thing. I'm sure it's a bunch of things, but what do you contribute your success and your ability to grow a business when the market seems to be shrinking in the opposite direction?
Well, I'd say we've been blessed, first of all. So we've got a good business. But I think the biggest part of our business, or the real estate in general, is just sticking to the basics. I, Even when I teach some of the younger agents about stuff, I say, hey, you really need to do this. But the hard part is sticking with it and being consistent. And I heard your minute of education that came out this morning, and that's about what that was talking about is staying consistent. And I agree with that 100%.
It's really hard to do. It's hard to be consistent. It's in any part of life. I'm currently, I threw my back out during Christmas, and it was like the third time in 3 months. And I've started this routine of stretching every morning and every other morning doing back exercises, planks, and those types of things. And I just dread it. I go to sleep dreading waking up in the morning and having to do it. But I've been consistent, and in 4 months I haven't thrown my back out. And that's been a thing, but it's tough to do it. What allows you to be disciplined in your life to keep doing the basics?
Well, I tell you, I think a big part of that is being surrounded by people that encourage you. And for example, Alon Edwards, who's my guy at Fusion, he helps me stick to my goals every single month. Well, say we meet every 3 weeks, but he helps me stick with those and encourages me in between our meetings, which I really appreciate it. But a part of it also is, I think, maybe my background. I grew up with a dad who was a special forces, guy from the army, and the one thing I learned, if you say you're gonna do something, you do it. So
Yep.
when I put my mind to it, I'm gonna figure out a way to make it happen. But having people support me helps a lot.
Those guys that are special forces, they're not a very disciplined bunch, right?
Yeah, it's surprising. Excuse me, surprising how disciplined they really are. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's great to grow up with a father that has that strong sense of duty and doing things right. Um, I grew up in California, but my dad grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I described myself as the son of a Midwestern man.
Yeah.
Meaning someone that had that type of you're honest, you do the right thing, you show up every day, you do your best. And I
Yeah.
can't say that I'm perfect in any of those types of things, but I really tried to do my best to meet those things. And that was instilled by my dad as a young man, and the older I get, I think the better I get. What kind of influence do you feel like your dad's had on you from the beginning and to the end?
Oh yeah. So Dad actually still works with me. He's semi-retired for the second or third time, I suppose, but he
Okay.
still works with me. And I'll tell you, the big key things I see is he's always encouraged me and promoted integrity and your character. And no matter whether it's in real estate or anything in life, those two things stick with you throughout. Uh, and, you only get one reputation, and if you ruin that, then you've got a problem. So
Yeah. Warren Buffett is famously says that it takes years to develop a good reputation and an instant to lose it. And
I can agree with that.
yeah, and so tell me about your business. Do you have a team? Do you have a group of people? You did in the last rolling 12 months, 51 transactions. What kind of support do you have to be able to do that level of business?
Yeah. So my dad, I was talking about, works with me still. He's again semi-retired, so he kind of does what he wants, but he helps me out anytime I need help. So if I need to go out of town for a trip, I know I can rely on him to help with clients while I'm away, which honestly, that's a tremendous help.
Yep.
Then I have got two other agents that work with me, Brian Stewart and Alicia Height, and both of them are within the last 2 to 3 years got into real estate, but they are just doing a phenomenal job. And where I traditionally work more with sellers, they pick up the load where we have buyer leads that come in, and they help with a lot of the buyers. Where uh, what I found is, with my schedule, it's hard to be out showing a house to a buyer if you're working on all your sellers that you're supposed to be doing. So they help me balance that greatly.
That's awesome. So how do you turn those buyers over to them? What is that turnover process? Are they just taking sign calls, or are you turning over your clients that were sellers to go show property, or do you negotiate the deal? Like how do you manage that?
So it depends on the situation. If it's a seller of mine that also wants to buy, then I'll probably continue to work with them just because of our strong relationship. If it's a Zillow lead or one that comes in off of a signed call, traditionally,
Yep.
once it comes in, if they call me directly, I'll just do a warm transfer over to them. Uh, if it comes through to our phone number and one of them picks up, then I just let them run with it. So it really depends, but it's worked out really well for us.
So you have your dad. I know the connection there, but now you have these other two agents that are quote unquote doing a phenomenal job. And where did you find these people, and how did you determine that they would be phenomenal? And how is that team being built?
So it's a great question. Brian actually was one of my dad's customers, but prior to that, they worked together in the Army. So
Okay.
he's got a background that I could relate with right away. I know what he believes even before he tells me. So,
Right.
but he's got a strong work ethic, phenomenal guy, trustworthy, and it's showing in what he's doing. And then Alicia, she's been my photographer and my drone video person for
That's
many
awesome.
years.
Yeah.
So we've known each other for, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 years, and uh, encouraged her to move forward with a real estate license. And once she had that, she started with us probably a year and a half ago, and she's doing a great job.
So let's go back to Alon, who is your partnership executive here at Fusion. You meet with him on a 3 week to 4 week basis, and you're doing something that we call a sprint or a scrum, where we talk about the inputs that you did previously, and then making a plan for what you're going to do for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks. But I'm really curious, in depth, how does Alon encourage you? How does he hold you accountable? Does he have uncomfortable conversations with you? Like, what can you give me as much detail on that relationship and in the interactions that you have with him?
Oh, absolutely. And I had to say, before I started working with Fusion, I never had a coach or anyone encouraging me at all. I always did my own thing. So this has been good for me. So during the time between our meetings, he'll send me a text message or an email. He might even give me a phone call, say, "Hey, did you do this?" Or as a reminder, and say, "Hey, don't forget you need to do this." Because I tell him, I said, "Man, I'm human. I get busy. I might forget something, but normally when I forget something, it's my own stuff. It's not someone else's."
Yep.
So there's a couple things that I've kind of put on the back burner that he helps me remember that we still need to get done. But it's normally stuff for myself and not others.
Well,
And we
how does he
talked.
have that conversation? What is it that he says? Like, how does he say it?
Oh, normally it's the very first thing we talk about, whatever the hardship or the hard talk gets done first.
Yep.
Say, hey man, I know you thought about doing this, but you hadn't done it yet. I need you to get this done. I said, you're right. And I said, I'm gonna write it down right now. And I'm gonna work on that between now and then. But that's normally how we start the conversation, like get the hard stuff out of the way. And then
Yep.
everything else is easy after that.
Yep. So what? Talk a little bit about what you guys talk about during those meetings.
So I guess prior to the hard talk, we start off with our goals, our big rocks, what we have envisioned more than just real estate. And for me, that's the future. I look at, I've been doing this since '04. So at some point,
Four. You started early.
yeah. So the goal here is, at some point I'd like to relax one day. That might be
Yep.
20 years from now, but one day I'd like to do that. And I've got two kids, a 19-year-old and a 15-year-old. And as of right now, neither one of them are excited about being a realtor. So, uh, and
I
and that's
wonder
okay.
why.
Yeah. But they're both good boys, and they may want to one day. My oldest one helps me right now, running errands and doing things, uh, but I want him to do his own thing. So he's going off to Appalachian State in Boone this August, and he may come back and help me. He may find something else to do, but uh, the goal here is one day, if they do want to join me or be in real estate, that I can turn my business over to them or whatever that future holds, maybe to someone else.
What do you? That would be super exciting. How do you think you look at your business um, differently, or how you run your business differently from the average agent?
Uh, so one thing I tend not to do is, in general, I compare myself to me mostly instead of other people.
Yep.
And I do that in our office because I
You
just
you
think it's
again you against you.
that's right. Yeah. So
Yep.
when someone comes in, they say, "Hey, did you know so and so did it something?" I was like, "I didn't know that, but that's wonderful. Congratulations to them." But the idea there is, I just want to be better than I was last year or last month.
Yep.
But things that I might do different than other people is um, something I was talking about recently was being authentic. Um, I meet a lot of people that seem fake, and only if they seem that way they are. But I'm just
Usually.
very, yeah. I'm just an upfront person. I tell folks, I said, I'm here to help you. I don't make any decisions. I'll give you my opinion. Uh, and one little conversation I have with I work with a young couple right now. Oh gosh, they're 23 and 25, so almost the age of my oldest boy. And I told them the first time I met them, I said, guys, I'm going to treat you like I do my little brother. And they said, well, how's that? I said, well, I give him my opinion, and he can ignore me all day long, and you can ignore me too. But I'm still going to give you my opinion. And if you want to go with it, that's great. If not, I'm going to help you because you're still the boss. But I'm going to give you my opinion, whether you like it or not. And the
Yeah.
only people understand, I'm just being straight up with them.
Tell me a little bit about what your average week looks like, and is it much different than it was before you started with us?
Yeah. So I use the calendar on my phone to keep me organized. I know some people use little booklets or notepads, but
Yep.
it helps me. There are some meetings I have scheduled every week, like Monday from 9 to 11. I have a meeting every Monday, so I block that off. But time management is really big. As long as I put on the calendar and I schedule it, then I'm going to block that off and I'm going to stick with it. And that's part of what Alon's helped me do with following up with my sphere of influence, because that's something that I did not do prior to having Fusion help me. Uh, I always known I need to do it and I should be doing it, but should have, could have, would have doesn't make it happen. So
Right.
he helps me stick with that. My goals each time we meet, I have so many people I need to reach out to via text or email, phone calls, and in my mind, I may have been doing that before, but I wasn't the way I am now. So
I love that. In your mind, I think that's a problem that a lot of real estate agents have. They kind of feel like they did something, but they're not really sure of what they did or measuring. It's one of our fundamentals in business. One of our key fundamentals is you have to measure, and if you don't measure, you don't know. I often have conversations with agents, and I said, "Would you invest in a friend's restaurant if he didn't do bookkeeping and inventory?"
yeah,
And the answer to that is always no. And I point out to the agents that rarely are they doing actual real bookkeeping with P&Ls, and very rarely are they doing an inventory of their time and their energy, which is their greatest assets. And so their business is very random, and therefore the results are random. And
it's a roller coaster.
it makes for a really stressful existence. A lot of real estate agents they have a lot of stress, and I think most of it's economic because of those things. But I don't know. I don't think you were at our rally in Denver, but I gave a keynote, and one of the key points that I gave was that you have to, if you want to succeed, you have to be willing to increase your suffering to eventually transcend everyday suffering. So that, and what I'm talking about is that suffering that they're going through on the ups and downs and not showing what their commissions are doing. They have to increase their suffering by being disciplined and being consistent, or getting somebody like us to do a lot of those consistent things so that they don't have to do those things. But, it comes at a cost. And either if they're doing it themselves or like in a partnership with us, we're sharing a little bit of the commission to be able to afford to do that. But that initial pain is quite a deterrent to people. If you were coaching an agent that was going up and down, but not changing anything, if you were mentoring them like a big brother, what would you tell them? And it doesn't have to be related to fusion. It could be, but knowing that they've got to change their behavior, how would you mentor somebody that was struggling emotionally with being disciplined?
Yeah, I'll tell them, I'll use myself as an example. Had I started a program like using Fusion as a partner 15 years ago, I'd be in a totally different place today. I really believe that. Um, like Brian that's on my team, I talked to him about some things recently. And I said, man, had I known what I know now when I started in real estate, my database would have been worked this entire time instead of just in the last few years. Um, there's no telling how many opportunities I missed that were easy opportunities had you just stayed in touch with people.
Yep.
So I tell the younger folks, I say, look, you may think it's expensive to keep up with people or to pay for some of the systems that are out there, and it is expensive, but it's worth it. You have to weigh the pros and cons, and you may not see that right now, but I'm looking backwards, and I wish I would have done it a long time ago.
Yep. Is there anything that you have in your business or in your day, so to speak, that's a non-negotiable?
Yeah, so probably my biggest thing there is uh, there's sometimes that I set aside for things that go on. Like I'm active in our church, so I teach Sunday school, and I know I can get 5 or 6 texts before I even go to church on a Sunday morning from different realtors, and I was like, man,
Yep.
I wish y'all were going to church with me, but I still respond to them, and then I go on to Sunday school. But
Yeah.
while I'm at the church, I set that time aside, kind of work around things, and then like last night, we had our quarterly business meeting, and I just somehow I happened to be the moderator. I couldn't say no, I suppose, and
Yep. The
so
business meeting for the church.
yes, sir. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we had that last night, and so
Yep.
I might go in at 5:30, and I won't get out till 8:30. So I won't look at my phone at all during that time. And if something's really an emergency, I'm gonna back up. There's no real emergencies in real estate, I don't think, unless the house is flooding. It's really not an emergency.
Yep.
So most things can wait an hour.
Much is given, much is required. And it's really a spiritual premise and in principle. But this is being played out, it sounds like, with you, because people see you as a successful, knowledgeable person that's got stuff going on, and they're seeking your help, and you're kind of paying that forward. And it's an interesting dynamic because as you do that, you're serving others, and yet there is likely to be a feedback loop of potential businesses coming from that's very, it's indirect. You're not doing it and saying, gosh darn it, I'll help you, but you have to give me business. It just comes in a spiritual way. And in the last few of these podcasts, I've had a fair amount of conversations with people that have a spiritual foundation, as you do. And work and business, it's a spiritual thing because you have to have faith that what you're doing is going to matter. Do you want to talk to that at all, Chris?
Yeah, so I really think that if you do things for the right reason, that comes back to you. You help people to help them, not necessarily for the income it produces. And if you do things for the right reason, it will end up doing, I think, blessing you as well. But I've got one family right now. I believe this is going to be the seventh time I've helped them since I've been in real estate, whether they're buyers or sellers. And honestly, I tried to refer them to someone else recently because they wanted to look at houses that were an hour and a half away or almost 2 hours away. And I was like, guys, that's just too far for me to go. So I found them a realtor. They called me 3 weeks later and asked, could I just come help them instead? And the answer was yes, but no, I can't come, 2 or 3 times a week. And that's half a day going one place to show houses. So uh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna knock on some wood right now. We're under contract and it's supposed to close on their new house next week. But that makes me feel good as a person that they
Yep.
wanted me or they trusted me to help them.
Yep.
And again, they're the same way. I give them my opinion. If I think this is a bad house for you, I'm going to tell you that. If you still want to buy it, I'll help you do it. But most of the time, people listen.
Yep. So when you joined us, which was um, about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, when you first started with us, was there anything that you were uncomfortable with that we were suggesting or pushing you to do?
I don't
Um,
think there was anything that wasn't uncomfortable, to be honest with you. No, no. The biggest thing was videos. Uh, uh, at the time, oh gosh, my mind went blank on the young lady's name. I had a Kelsey. Kelsey was my first person,
yep.
and she really encouraged me to do videos. I I never did videos prior to Fusion, and I'm glad I am. And Alon keeps me going on that too. But um, I don't post a whole lot of stuff online other than just general stuff. But uh, when we're doing events that we attend, he encourages me to make sure to post about it so people know what's going on. And I wasn't doing a very good job at that. I was really uncomfortable with it. But now I'm getting more
What
comfortable with
made
that.
you uncomfortable about it? Was it kind of like the look at me factor, like you didn't?
Yeah, I'd say I don't want anybody to think I'm doing it for me. If I'm doing it, I'm doing it for the like the Salvation Army. We do a big thing with
Yep.
them twice a year. One is um, we do the Salvation Army is called Angel Tree. And Elon Mine showed you some pictures, but we filled the church with these boxes where people donate items for Christmas. And
Yep.
just here in Lee County, which is the smallest county in our entire state, we do about 1,000 boxes for kids. And these are sometimes it's all they get for Christmas. And
Yep.
I look forward to that every year. And
Yep.
I don't want people to think that I'm posting about that for me. I want it to be for the people that helped out with that program so they know so they can help next year. I mean, we have a huge need. So
I don't know if you know who Seth Godin is, but he's, I think, a real thought leader in small business and in the hustle economy or the solopreneur economy, and he's a very thoughtful person, and I really think he's a brilliant guy. He wrote The Purple Cow. I don't know if you've ever heard of that book before, but he says if you care about things, you must market. So, for example, like if you care about your church, it needs to have a population, needs to have a congregation. If nobody knows about it, it's going to diminish. If you care about the increasing the number of boxes or gifts that you're giving, because you're associating yourself with this program, someone who knows you and respects you says, "Wow, Chris is involved with that. Maybe I'll get involved with that."
yeah,
And so I totally get it because, I, being the son of a Midwestern man, you're not supposed to be braggadocious. You're not supposed to be, look at me. And yet, I'm doing a lot more video now just to relate to you. And I'm quite uncomfortable with it, to be honest with you. We do our filming on Thursdays, and I have my full-time videographer here, and I tell him I hate Thursdays, not because of him, he's a good guy, but it just doesn't fit. But if I'm going to make sure that the people that we employ and our clients that we take care of are going to benefit from what we do, we have to grow as an organization. We have to put ourselves out there. And it's also uncomfortable because the critics are out there.
yeah.
And You know, a lot of critics don't like to see people succeed because it makes them look at themselves. And so it takes a really strong person, a mentally strong person, to do it. And but I do believe, under the right circumstances, that it's a very honorable thing to do. And for real estate agents, if you're listening, if you are like Chris is the agent he would hire. He takes care of his people. He provides real value. And if his people, his contacts, don't know that he's in the business or isn't reminded enough, they may end up with an agent that's going to provide a lower level of service than what he would provide. And so I think it's a very honorable thing to do when you are providing something of real value in the marketplace. So I commend you for doing that. I commend you for increasing your suffering so that you can transcend some of this suffering for yourself and for your family, clearly, and for your community, because the better you do, the better your church is going to do, clearly, and the better your clients are going to do. You've been a real joy to talk to. You're a down-to-earth guy, and I would feel very comfortable myself doing business directly with you if I had to buy a home in Sanford, North Carolina. Really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, Chris.
I appreciate the opportunity. And I was going to tell you too, there's one other person that I think of all the folks. I hadn't met too many Fusion folks in person because I'm here and they're there. But there's a young lady that we text a whole lot because she helps me with the different things that go on behind the scenes. Gabriella is her name.
Oh, she's terrific.
Never talked to her, but I can tell you, she is one of my favorite people there. We text and sometimes she'll just follow up on something I wouldn't even thought about following up on, but just a phenomenal young lady. So just kudos to you for your staff, because everybody I've met has been phenomenal.
Well, I have to tell you that every day I come to work, I think, how in the hell did I get all these people, these great people, to come to work here? Like, I'm shocked by it and humbled by it, and am really thankful that I have people like Gabriella and Elon and Gage here, my videographer, and a bunch of other people. I am very, very blessed, and I'm blessed to be in business with you, Chris, and thank you so much.
Same here. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to what we got going on in the next few years here.
Me too.